I'm going to introduce the options. But in order to understand what this option is, you need to know what the forwards are. So I'm assuming that you already know what the forwards are. So I did not put it on the YouTube, but okay. So I like to explain something with the graph. So the x-axis here is for the price of the underlying asset at the maturity time, and we denote that kind of things as as sub capital T. So capital T is the maturity date of a forward, and it can be any date as long as we agree to buy or something in some future date. And this x-axis actually starts from 0 and it goes to all the way to infinity. So all numbers are here are positive numbers. And then there might be some price, the K, and that price is the price that we agreed today to be performed in the future. And on the y-axis, of course, there is a 0, and y-axis represent the payoff of each position. So the positive payoff means that you gain something. You gain actually the money, and in the negative part, you will lose your money. So this is the long position of the forward contract. So the promised price K is actually the future price of your underlying asset, then there is no gain and there is no loss. So the payoff of the long position is 0. But on the right-hand side, if you are in the long position, you will get some money. And if you are on the left-hand side, you will lose some money. And this blue line represents the payoff of the short position of a forward contract. And we write it in this way. So long position is a red line, and the mathematical formula for the long position of a forward is S of T minus K. And again, the S of T is the price of the underlying asset at maturity, and the K is the forward price, which means we agreed on today, the price we agreed on today. And for the short position, it's in blue line, and the payoff is K minus S of T. So I hope, you understand everything on this graph, right? Okay, now I think, if you understand what forward means, and we can think about, just taking one side of the position. So that means this is the positive part of the long position, and you can see. You may think about in this way: the long position means you are going to promise to buy something, and if it is favorable to you, then you might say this position is your right. You have the right to buy that product at pre-agreed price. So in some sense, this part represent the right to buy. But also when you are in a long position, forward contract, you are not only have the right, you also have the obligations. And that obligation is this part. So you see, this is just a negative part of a long position of a forward contract. And since you agreed to buy the underlying asset at fixed price, even if the price of the future of your underlying asset is below the price you agreed to buy, you have to buy it. So in some sense, this line maybe think as a representation of your obligation. Okay, and let's think about the short position. Oh, okay, that's the long position. So it was just a one contract, but we can think about this one contract into two different parts. So one is that you have the right, and also you have the obligations to buy this one. So the mathematical formula for this one is here. Now let's think about the short position. The short position is this. And you can also think about this short position into two different parts. So here is the right of the seller, because this contract means you are going to sell something. And this positive part can be thought of the right to sell the product, even though the price is low, you can sell it in a very higher price. And on the right hand side, the bottom, it can be interpreted as the obligation of the short position, because you can, if there were no these contracts and you can sell your product at a very higher price, but since you agreed to sell your product in a fixed price K, you have to sell your product at this price. So in some sense, you can interpret it as this part as your obligation to sell your product. So there was a red line, the long position, and I said the long position can be decomposed into two parts. So one is the right to buy, the other one is the obligation to buy. And the short position it can be also divided into two parts. And the left-hand side here is a right to sell. And this part is obligation to sell. So now I'm gonna show you what I mean by graph. So we may think the transaction of the long position and the short position into four different parts. So this part is a right to buy, and this part is a right to sell. And also this part is the obligation to sell, and this part is obligation to buy. And actually, these four components can be expressed in other much more fundamental basic building blocks. And that is actually the option. So let's focus on this part. And I said, this is the right to buy some price. I mean, right to buy some product at a certain price. So if you have only right, then this position is called a call. This product is a call option. And since it is a right to buy, and we said that the person who has this right is in the long position. So this is the this is the call option. So you might have the right to buy something at some fixed price, at some in future fixed time. And how can we represent this part in mathematically? And can you see what was wrong here? It was not intentional, but I made a mistake. So I'm gonna see how many of you can see what is the right formula for this long position. Show your response. You may send your question to Mentimeter to show me the correct formula. Of course, yeah, you don't have to write it, the subscript, just write it in the usual text so that, yeah, anyone can see. So I'm waiting for your response. Oh, okay, I got, yeah, one response. Okay, the one said in the chatting, it's 0, st minus k. Okay, that's good. And I also have here. Yeah, well. Absolute value of st minus k. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hmm. No, this it does not make sense. Yeah, I was confused. So because okay, absolute value of stk, then okay, this is part is good, but the negative parts will be reflected in this way. So there might be a problem. So yeah, okay, there is a pen. So that can be represented in this way, the absolute value of st minus k. So oh, you can. Okay, I can make the subtitle by just speaking it, but it's in Korean, so I think it's not good. So how can I turn it off? Okay. So the actual formula for this one is, yeah, it's this one, the max st minus k and 0. So you can see, yeah, actually in the long position of a forward contract, there was this part which is obligation, but I want to make it 0. So if this part is positive, then you will get this line. But if you have this part which is negative of this part, then maximum will be as our formula. So there is a mistake, but I think you can understand what I'm talking. So I'm just erase these things. Okay, so somebody wanted to have the long position of the call option. Then there must be another person who take this position, which means there must be some person who take the short position of the call option. And that person is this part. So I said, actually, this blue line was the obligation parts of the forward contract. But just take the right, the right to sell part. Just think about this as just one product, and the red line means the long position of the product, and the blue line means just a short position of the product. So the payoff is actually negative of this equation. Of course, yeah, there is comma and zero, and still there is a typo. So this is the call option. But if you think about this product a little bit more, then actually it is not possible to have this contract because the long position is always better, or at least equal than the short position. Because if you are in a long position, you will always get positive number or zero, and if you are in the short position, well. I have another question. Blue line is K minus ST. Yep. Okay. I hope everyone can see the chatting. The Ihandong asked me the blue line is K minus ST. So if K minus ST, then that represent the whole part of this line. But if you want to express it just this part, and you can write it as, it's not max, it's minimum of K minus ST comma 0. So this is the one solution. But if you are trying to modify this one, actually this one is actually equal to this one. Of course, there should be a 0 here. So you have you can show that these two are equivalent. So another way of thinking that I am this is right is that suppose you have a certain you have a certain formula for this one, then this blue line is just a reflection of along the x-axis. You can just put the negative sign on this one, then you get this formula. And actually, that's a very good question. So, okay, I will continue my talking about the call option. So call option, the long position is always better than the short position. So if there was no money, no cash flows at the beginning, then there is no such a thing like this one in the future. So the people, the person who wanted to have a long position have to pay some amount of money to the short position of the call option. So that money is called to be the option premium, but I prefer to say as the option price. So that is the call price of the call option. So that's in some sense that's the amount of money you have to pay to have this right and no obligations. So there is no obligation and you have only right. And this is really good. And it cannot be free. So you have to pay some money at the beginning to have this wonderful no obligation and some right. And today we are going to talk about how can we determine the price of these products later. But I just wanted to mention that in order to have a long option, in order to have a call option in long position, then you have to pay a certain price to the seller of the call option, which means the short position. Okay, and next is okay. Now this is the confusing part because the call option can be you can understand the call option. Okay, I have the right to buy, and the opposite person sell me that right. So he only has the obligations to to, because I have the right to buy and he have to sell it. But this is the other part. So what was this? Actually, it was a part of the short position in a forward contract, and the short position of the forward contract is a person who promised to sell something, and in this part, this is his right to sell the product. So which is a good thing because the profit is positive. So it is also a right, but this right is a right to sell something. And this right to sell something is called the put option. And in this position, the put option is in the long position. Oh, I think, yeah, I have another question. So I'm gonna go to the questions. Okay, why it becomes 0 when ST minus K is negative? It does not become 0. I just, so let me go back. I said, yeah, this is a typo. Actually, I have to write in this way. So this is the call option. So if you think about this one, so the max function just take the maximum of these two. And ST minus K was this one. And this, so K is fixed, and when ST is greater than K, then this part is positive. So this part is the ST minus K. But when ST is smaller than K, and here, then this whole line is actually a negative number. And then since this is the negative number, the 0 comes out of the max operator. So I hope, this can help you to understand. Of course, this one is also wrong. I did not put the comma 0 inside the max operator. But as you can see, the blue line is now another product named put option. And if you are in this position, then we say that this is a long position of the put option, blue line. And this put option is a right to sell some products. So sometimes we say that a person is in the long position of the put option, but sometimes we said that somebody bought the put option. And that means if I have in a long position of the put option, I have bought the right to sell some products. So it's confusing. I bought something, but that something is the right to sell something. That's why I said it's confusing. And the put option also has a short position. And short position is just a reflection along the x-axis. So now this red line is the short position of the put option. And this is the obligation to buy something, because the blue line wanted to sell something, then the other party has to buy something. So the expression is, so just put the negative sign of the whole thing, but still I forgot to put comma 0 here. So this is the formula. So there are actually 6 of them. So let's recall that the forward contract first. The long position is this whole thing, and short position is this whole thing. And the long position of the forward was ST minus K, and short position of the forward is K minus ST. And the call option is just on the right part, the upper right part of this red line. It is a call option, and also this is the call option. This red part is the long position of the call option, and this blue part here is the short position of the call option. And the blue line on the left here is the put option, and this is the long position of the put option, and this is the short position of the put option. You got it? Okay, I'm waiting for your question. You can either use your chatting, or you can use the Mentimeter to ask me a question. Are you really sure? Oh, okay, yeah, there is a question here. There must be a question. Yeah, you can understand this by just the listening to the first explanation. Okay, you mean ST minus K is long position, but input option is negative part. Y is short position. Okay. Let me go to this part again. And let me try to understand your question. Okay, I'm gonna say it in this way. So ST minus K, it does not mean it is a long position. The long position, long position actually means, I know, yeah, at the beginning, it's very complicated to understand which one is the long position and which one is the short position. So here is my brief answer. If you are going to pay some money, or if you already pay some money, the fixed money, then that means you are in a long position. Okay? So the important part is that you have to pay some fixed things. And if you have to pay some fixed thing to the other person, then you are in a long position. And if you are agreed to buy some fixed things, then you are in a short position. And so keep in mind, and I'm gonna use my explanation using that concept. So in a forward contract, we say that this is the forward contract. Okay, let me draw the forward contract again. So forward contract is to promise to buy or sell something. But first think about the buy position first. So he did not pay anything at the front, but he promised to pay some fixed amount of money in the future. And depending on the situation, he got a profit or he got a loss. And we represent this graph by ST minus K because he promised to pay some fixed amount of money. And this graph just, is this one. So if somebody has this part, it does not mean he is in a long position. The long position means doesn't care whether it's in this form or actually not in this form, but you have to promise to pay some fixed thing. That's the long position. And then for the put options, you think the put option is this one. This is the long position of the put option. So this is the long position of the put option. And put option is to, so in order to get this long position, at the beginning, you have to pay some money to the short position of the put option holder. So that's why we call this is in the long position. And since this is the put, it is a right to sell some amount, right to sell some product at a fixed price. And this is the right to sell some products. So in that sense, we say that this is the payoff of the put option of the long position. So it doesn't matter whether it is ST minus K or K minus ST. Okay, I'm gonna stop here and think about it. And if you still have a question, give you a question, but I wanted to answer to the other questions. So isn't the option line for loss straight? I think you mean let's see your question again. I don't exactly so this is my bad drawing, and this is the line with the 45-degree angle. So this is for the long position of the call, and actually this and the 0 here. And for the short position, it should looks like this, and for the put option, long position looks like this, and for the put option of the short position looks like this. So it is a straight line, and this part is flat. And then next one is 파란 그래프에서 0 이상이면 약속한 K보다 높은 가격에 사야 하고. 잠깐, 파란 그래프에서 0 이상이면 파란 그래프에서 0 이상이면 약속한 K보다 높은 가격으로 사야 하고. Actually, this line is not the line to buy. Actually, this line is for sell. And this line is also a line for selling. So you cannot so if you want to buy something, you are always on this red line. And if you have to sell something, you are on this blue line. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I have the enough answer for it, but if you cannot understand, yeah, just ask me again. Oh, okay. Wait, is it no more questions? Okay, I wait. I wait. Yeah. So at the beginning, it is really confusing, and I'm willing to explain it again and again. Yeah, say 10 more times to make you understand. So yeah, just give me an answer in very different angles, and I will explain what I mean. Then, so if you cannot understand what I'm saying at some from some perspective, but I'm gonna express it in many different ways. So then, from one of them, you may understand what I'm trying to say, and that's good. Yeah. So ask me questions. Okay. Okay, right to buy와 right to sell이 왜 모두 long position인가? So long position. Okay, I know. Yeah, there are some for students, but I'm gonna say it in this way. The long position means you have to pay some fixed amount of money or some fixed something in much broader sense. So long position에 있다라고 하는 거는 사실은 뭔가 이미 정해진 돈을 주는 사람을 가지고 다 롱 포지션에 있다라고 얘기를 하는 거예요. 그래서 만약에 포워드 컨트랙이다 하면 포워드 컨트랙은 지금 현재는 돈을 주고받지 않아요. 하지만 미래 시점이 되면 돈을 그 정해진 돈을 내고 뭘 사겠다고 했던 사람이 있어요. 그 사람을 가지고 롱 포지션이라고 얘기하는 거예요. 그리고 그 정해진 돈을 받고 뭘 팔기로 약속한 사람이 숏 포지션이고, 그 다음에 옵션으로 가도 옵션은 마지막 순간에 보면 권리를 가지고 있는 사람이 무조건 유리하게 돼 있어요. 그래서 그 권리를 가진 사람이 무조건 유리하기 때문에 그게 살 수 있는 권리든 또는 팔 수 있는 권리든 권리를 가진 사람이 무조건 유리하든지 아니면 최소한 손해는 안 보는 게 옵션이라. 따라서 그런 권리를 가지기 위해서 시작할 때 그 권리를 판 사람, 그래서 권리를 팔았으니까 그 사람은 의무가 있는 거라. 그 사람한테 미리 돈을 준. 그래서 돈을 줬기 때문에 롱 포지션이라고 이야기를 하는 거야. So I'm sorry to speak in Korean, but you see, if you see this one as a whole thing, the red line is a long position of a forward contract, and the blue line is a short position of the forward contract. But if you divide it into 4 different pieces, then the above the x-axis is always a good thing, whether it is a right to buy or it is right to sell. So it is always a good thing, and somebody wanting to have a good thing have to pay for that. So someone has this part, has to pay something to the other poor guys. I mean, he's not poor, but so that's why the call option in this position is a long position. And this one is a right to sell something, even though the price is very low, you have the right to sell in a higher price than the lower price. So it is a good thing for him. So in order to have this good thing, the person who has this right to pay something to the person who has this position at the beginning. So that's why we call this part is a long position of the put option. And this part is the long position of the call option. And the bottom 2 parts, it was originally a long position here, and it was originally a short position, but it doesn't matter when these 4 parts are separated. So this part is just the obligation. And and this line, it means sell something. So he has to sell something at low price, even though price is high. So in order to take only these obligations, the person who are in the short position wanted to get some money in before this happens. So that is the money transfer from the long position person to the short position person. And this is true for the uh, the right to sell, and it is the obligation to buy.